I'm like, I just want to do the very best that I can. And don't get me wrong, I still go in with the mindset of like showing up for vegans. I love proving to people
Yeah.
like, no, like I'm vegan. Like I love being vegan, and I love that I have this much muscle being vegan. And standing backstage talking to girls and stuff like that about their diets and stuff, and I get to say, "Oh, you were eating fish and rice up until the last week? I had my protein bagel this morning. It was delicious." Like stuff like that,
Yeah.
where it's like you're just in a completely different world, and the vegan part helps. But the whole mindset, that's yeah, it's been a big thing for me this year too, of like, I don't need to win. I just need to do my best.
Well, welcome back, everyone. This is how we do it, unscripted as hell. Vegans Who Lift podcast brought to you by your favorite vegans. We have Brooke Sellers, aka Miss Meatless Muscle, of course, myself, John Thomas, aka the Bodybuilding Vegan. We have on a super special guest for you guys today. We got on Kaitlin, aka Buff Vegan Barbie. Is that
Yep. Buff
okay?
Vegan
All right,
Barbie.
I'm learning as we go, but yes, super excited to have you on. Brooke, you know her better than I do, so I'll let you give a little bit more of an introduction.
Yeah, we are super excited to have Kaitlin on. Kaitlin is a NPC competitor. She competes in bikini, and she is vegan. So she's representing vegans in the sport of bodybuilding, and she's a mom. So if you guys think it's hard to get your workouts in and meal prep, being a mom, imagine adding competitive bodybuilding on top of that, all the posing, all the cardio, and she's also a coach. So she trains mostly in person right now, but she is transitioning to online through our Vegans Who Lift Coaching Academy. So yeah, what's up, Kaitlin? How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm just, living the dream. Had a client this morning and at like 8 a.m. and came home and got ready for this. So super excited.
Yay! We're so
Where
excited
are
to have
you?
you.
Where are you based out of?
So I live in Mississippi right now. And I kind of travel some as I can. Like my mom lives over in New Mexico. So I do a lot of travel between Mississippi and New Mexico, like through Texas. So I kind of checked out Texas a lot. We check out Tennessee a lot too, because my fiance has a lot of work up there. So kind of all around the South.
I was gonna say the
Nice.
accent kind of gives it away a little bit. Yeah,
And what's
yeah.
crazy is I used to not have an accent, and like moving here, it's like, "Hey y'all, how you doing?" Like I've gotten so ingrained.
So
Oh,
how is it being vegan in Mississippi? Is it easy?
um,
So I'll say in the past year, it's about 10 times easier than it was 3 years ago. Products in stores have absolutely blown up. Products online have absolutely blown up. I mean, I'm sure you guys have the same experience. But it's probably, I would imagine you guys live in a little bit more progressive areas. There's one restaurant I can go to that's vegan, and it's called Oops All Vegan. It's like fast food. It's actually really good, but it's the only vegan restaurant here.
Wow.
And I mean, you can go and get like a smoothie or something, and they might have like a vegan protein powder or something. But honestly, I've gotten to the point, and with competing too, where going out to eat is not something I really enjoy, because it's just too stressful. I'm allergic to dairy and eggs too, and so like if I get dairy and eggs on accident, I'm sick. Like they basically poisoned me. So like and it happens a lot. And so like I don't risk going out to eat because of that, because people don't even like, Mississippi's so backwards that they think that milk milk is the only thing that's dairy. Butter, that's not dairy. Cheese, that's not dairy. So people are like extremely confused about even where their food is coming from. Um, and that's kind of been my experience of working with that, and people being vegan. What's that? I get a lot of that. But I mean, it's an outreach opportunity. It's kind of like a um we talked to a lot of people about it. I actually met my fiance 2 years ago, and he wasn't vegan. He was a big meat eater. And he didn't go vegan because he cares about the animals or anything like that. He did go vegan for me, but his results from being vegan are what keeps him vegan and why he loves it. Because his family has high cholesterol. Um, he has health issues from the past, from being overweight, like a lot of things that were in the past that affected him now. Even though he was eating healthy, he was at a point where he was meal prepping, all that kind of stuff. But um, his cholesterol is still high. All his markers were still high. And when I switched him, I do his nutrition and coaching. So I switched him over to like, tofu, seitan, all those kinds of stuff. We actually just started Say Grace and I really like it. We were doing Anthony's before that. But we're doing the Say Grace now and he likes that a lot. We kind of like switching things up because, he does strict meal planning where, he cooks on Sunday, eats the same thing through the whole week. I don't. I do macro tracking. I cook like my bagels and my lupini bean rolls, and that's pretty much it. Everything else I'm making like on that day because I can't like sometimes in prep I can eat container food, but like for months on end I cannot eat container food. I can't. I just can't.
Yeah, that's a
But
whole
he
nother
does.
level of
He's a
suffering.
trooper. He is an absolute trooper because he works full time. Like, doesn't have time to make his own food. So he's a trooper and eats all of his food, and he likes it a lot. And he's my biggest example for people of like, you can absolutely be from Mississippi, full time eating meat your whole life, and go vegan and like do it. And to be fair, he says the only reason he can do it is because of my cooking. But that's the thing, is it's just about cooking. It's literally about ingredients, seasoning, boom, that's it.
That's
I love
amazing.
that. Yeah.
Sorry, that was a
I think you hit the nail on the head. Like, you are in an area where there are very few vegans. Significant other was not vegan, and look at the impact that you've had. Like, now too, I think this is something that the three of us get to do that's a little bit unique. When somebody in your area or in your region thinks of vegan, they're gonna think of you. They're not gonna think of nasty food or tofu or like somebody that's sick or weak, because a lot of people have those preconceived notions, but now they're gonna think of you. I think that's awesome. And ladies, any very rare vegan men out there that are trying to date, your partner doesn't have to start vegan. You can lead the way. You can lead by example. So I think that's awesome.
yeah.
It's
That was
funny.
something.
I was gonna say it's funny because that is exactly what happened with me and my boyfriend. Is he I will say one advantage for me is that he was already very health conscious, so I had that going for me. And I was gonna say that's kind of like the issue with being vegan in like the deep south, is like there's already this gap between like the education of like people knowing what's healthy and what's not healthy. Like I just feel like people have just differing concepts of like how to eat healthy, and then you add vegan on top of that, and it's like people just don't understand. Like my grandparents were from rural Georgia, like it was LaGrange, Georgia. It's like middle of nowhere. Like it's like literally if you heard them talk, like it's English, but you'd be like, what did you say? Like that's how country they are. And like they just would never understand. Like they'd be like it'd be Christmas, like, God, do you have to eat vegan on Christmas? Like, can you just eat whatever everybody else is eating? And I'm like, guys, it doesn't work like that. Like, it's not like, oh, it's Christmas, so I'm going to eat whatever. So they just don't understand. So you have that like gap between like people just knowing like what's healthy, and then also because I feel like when I lived in Florida, I lived in West Palm Beach, and people were more health conscious there. So like even though everybody wasn't vegan, they did make healthier choices. Like there was like more like smoothie bars, like in like those kind of health food kind of places. So veganism was much more accepted. Like people at least got it. Like even if they weren't vegan, like they're like, I get it. Like I get it. You're trying to be healthier. You're trying to reduce your fat. Like, but it's just not for me. But like in the South, it's like, the fuck? What are you doing? But yeah, it's funny. So my boyfriend, I met him, and he was very health conscious, but he like didn't really understand the whole vegan thing. But he was curious after trying my food, and he was like, wow, like this is actually a lot easier than I thought it would be. And he didn't go vegan for the animals at all. He went vegan for me. I told him that I would love him forever if he went vegan. So he went vegan. And he absolutely loves it. And like you, it was like the results, they speak for themselves. Like, you know, and that's the thing. It's like people have all these misconceptions. And if they just tried it and tried it the right way with guidance, like from one of us, they would be amazed at the results they could get.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. No, our first date was a hike, and I agree with you. It's like you have to find someone who's already health conscious. He had been 300 pounds and gotten down to, I mean, he's 5'7", so he got down to like 190, which is really, lean for him. Um and So he met me at about 190 and we went on a hike. We were both health conscious, but I mean, we went to a Mediterranean restaurant, which is, as you guys probably know, one of the few places we can't eat, where you get falafel and it doesn't have protein, but it's fine. Um, and he ordered this. He was like, I'm just going to get the same thing as you, because he didn't know what to get. He didn't want to get meat and eat it in front of me, even though it was literally our first date. And, he ordered the falafel and we ate it and he really liked it, even though he never had it. And we went on a hike, and I brought tofu bites. I'll take tofu and I cook it so long in the oven, maybe like an hour and a half, with like, after marinating it for a while, of course. And they're these great hiking snack, because it's like, you can just pop it in your mouth. And so I had taken those, and that's what made him fall in love with tofu, because he was like, this is delicious. This is better than beef jerky. And I was like, yeah, because it is.
I
That's
love it.
awesome.
So yeah, it's all about how you introduce it and how, like, people go through it. I'm a big believer, if you don't have to be vegan for the animals, you don't have to be vegan for the planet, you don't have to be vegan for anything. You just need to care enough to try to fix your health just a little bit. Just take baby steps, little tiny baby steps towards being better. And at some point you're going to be there, because it's like, I went vegan 100%, but I messed up a lot. You know what I mean? And it's okay to mess up. It's just, you got to get back on track.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that like vegan isn't an allergy. It's not a diet. It's a mindset. It's a for me, it's like as close to like any religion that I'm gonna follow. So you're never gonna be perfect, and that's okay. Especially anybody listening that's thinking about trying it or that's made mistakes on their path. Like I guarantee that I've messed up either ordering at a restaurant or I've bought, even like in the last year, I've bought supplements that had gelatin in the capsules. Nobody's perfect. I've done this for 18 years and I still make mistakes. So it is what you're doing the majority of the time, whether it is for health or whether it is for the planet or the animals. They all kind of go hand in hand. What you do the majority of the time matters. So yeah, I'm here to encourage anybody that wants to try. And you post a lot of good recipes. I do see that on your page, Kaitlin.
I need
So
to work on that
uh,
more too.
yeah. So you guys check her out, definitely. Do we want to stick to the somewhat loose script and do the wins of the week?
Yeah. So we do. I don't know if you've listened to the podcast before, Kaitlin, but we do our wins for the week, and then we do have our question game.
Yeah.
So we can roll through that. So let's see who wants to kick off their win.
I'll be a winner and a whiner.
Okay. Oh God, what's this gonna be?
So, I guess my win, I got two. One, I got my implants in. They are feeling great. Not just kidding. My my teeth implants.
Okay.
It's a joke. Yeah. No, if I was gonna get implants, it'd probably be like for my calves. But anyways, I got my teeth implants, so that's a win. And I made it to New Jersey with my mom. That's why the background looks a little bit different. We're gonna be visiting my brother this weekend. There's a veg fest on Saturday and Sunday. I think we're gonna go Saturday. So excited for all the food that I guess I can eat. I don't know. We'll see how my mouth is feeling by then. It actually doesn't hurt today. But the whining part, that procedure 2 days ago was the most painful one I've ever been through. And the one before that was the
Mm.
most painful one up until that point in time. It took over 5 hours. I was completely soaked in sweat, not even because I was hot, but because I was in pain for so long. I didn't know any of this. Like I was like, I'm gonna go in blind. But like they at one point in time got the drill stuck in my mouth, like it got stuck to my tooth. So that was fun. And then to tighten these things down, you ever see like a socket wrench on a car? That's literally what they're doing in my mouth to like screw these in. But
That
yeah,
sounds
guys,
terrible.
Teeth are fun.
Oh
And then
boy.
my whining. I got to the Airbnb last night at like 7, but it wasn't until 7:30 that they gave me the updated code because the cleaner changed the code. And then I get inside and 3 smoke detectors are going off, but I can't find all of them. I've pulled 6 of them off the walls. I guess they have like really high smoke detector requirements here, but turns out it's like a multi-family unit. So like there was one upstairs and one locked in a closet downstairs still going off, and I'm like starting to lose my mind. So after 2 hours, he came over and fixed all of those. And then I have upstairs neighbors, I guess, definitely children, because as early as 7 a.m. and as late as midnight, there's people running back and forth. Yesterday they were playing the keyboard. Today somebody's playing the guitar, and they are not so great. So I hope you guys can't hear it, but I told my mom, I'm like, I don't know why I'm being tested, but I'm being tested. But
What a disaster. Holy
That's a
shit.
lot.
it's been a long 48 hours, but I'm here and I'm
So
happy and
yeah, what is
whatever.
the win? What is the win in all of this?
The win is
You
I
got
think I'm
his
almost
teeth look good.
done with my teeth. Well, I still gotta go get crowns, so I still gotta spend, like, another 4 grand. Outside of that, the other win is I did make it to New Jersey, and I saw my brother for, like, 10 minutes last night, so that was a win. So, he's my
Yay.
little brother. We used to live together, even in the same room until I almost killed him. But, no, we're super close, so it's nice to get to see him in person. Anyways, I'll shut up. That was very long. Those are my wins and whines of the week.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Kaitlin, what's your win for the week?
Okay. It's been a week. It's been a rough one. My fiance's birthday was this past weekend, and then my birthday is Saturday. Um, Super
Yay.
excited for that. And then I've got my posing seminar on Saturday too. And I'm really excited for that. I've been trying to kind of revamp things at my gym. Um, and we're supposed to be having a bunch of IFBB pros come to that and a bunch of friends and stuff. And then hopefully a bunch of new people. Of course, that's always the biggest goal is to get new people into the sport and excited about it and stuff like that. So that's my big anxiety is like, I know all these people are going to show up, but are the new people going to show up? Like, are the people who want to learn going to show up? So I've been trying really hard with that, but it's been a busy week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're giving away green bites at the seminar, right?
Yeah, I am. So I got a whole box to give away. It's like, I don't know, like 10 treats or something. I just want people to try stuff. I'm so sick of people saying like, oh, vegan stuff is bad and doesn't taste good. And so I was like, I'm gonna buy some green bites to give away at the seminar. That way I can say, these are vegan protein treats. You can have this during prep. Like these are not something that is crazy because that's my biggest thing with nutrition and everything is emphasizing that it can fit into your life right now as your life is. You don't have to wait and for any point for your life to be ready for you to be ready. Just start. So that's kind of like what I'm hoping to accomplish with giving away those.
That's
Sweet.
awesome. That's a great opportunity to show people like how awesome vegan food is, and that's a great way to connect with people and hopefully get green bites in business because we love them. I like my first
Yeah.
posing seminar. At my first posing seminar, I got like a bag of pancake mix, protein pancake mix, and it had whey in it, and I was like, "Fuck! Well, I can't use this."
All
So
I all I ever get at seminars I go to is stuff with protein or with whey in it. And it's like I honestly give it away to people around me. I'll be like, "Do you want this?" Because like I'm not a waster. Like I don't like milk and eggs, but I also don't want them to be produced, used, and then wasted and thrown away. That is almost more upsetting to me than I myself am not going to eat it, but I want somebody who's going to eat it, who's eating stuff like that anyway, because like otherwise that cow died for like no reason instead of at least one reason. But that's probably a mental thing. But yeah,
yeah,
I wanted the seminar to have things that's really positive vegan and kind of like related to me so that people walk away from it going like, wow, like this is something that's like way more than I ever thought that it could be.
yeah, totally with you there.
You're playing a
So,
dangerous game. I took green bites to the last charity event that I did to encourage people to come over to the table, and there were a few left at the end, and I ate at least 3, uh,
oh no. Your
on
girl's
top of all
on
the other
prep
food.
prep. I mean, I'm having one a day, don't get me wrong. Like, I very much so believe in I would rather not have any rice, no tortillas, no nothing, and have me a little pre-workout treat because that's what's gonna get me through my workout without wanting to like die. Um,
Nice.
and so
Which
like
one do
I'll
you eat every day?
well, I switch it up. Like yesterday I had the lemon poppy seed one. I really like that one.
Love that one.
Honestly, and I need to buy some more of these. My favorite so far was that um funfetti cookie sandwich. Um
Mm.
I
Mhm.
I that would be dangerous to keep a lot of those. Thankfully, they only send me one or two of those in a box. So it's like I don't
Oh.
get a lot of opportunity with that. But I cookies are my thing. Like brownies are like, oh yeah, they're good, but like cookies, we can't keep boxes of cookies in the house on prep. They, they don't
Mm.
stay.
Oh. I make my cream of rice bowl, and then I'll put the green bite on top, and I'll microwave it for like another 30 seconds, and then kind of crush it all up in there.
Everybody thinks I'm weird, but I'm cold. I like things cold, so I eat my brownies cold and my cookies cold and stuff like that because it tastes really good, like right out of the fridge. I don't know. I get the warming it up, but
Oh,
you have like 10 times more carbs than I do, so like that's not even a
there.
possibility. I have when I'm eating my green bites growth treat, I'm like, okay, what protein source am I having with this? You know, like that's it's great that it has 12 grams of protein, but that's not
I
close
got
to
you.
enough.
Make like a protein pudding, or even like if you have a Ninja Creamy or a blender, like make it like a really thick, like smoothie. Then take the green bite, crumble it up on top, throw it in the freezer for half an hour, and then it's
That's
really good.
bussin'. That's
Oh
I want to
shit.
get. I mean, the creamy, and I'm gonna try that with like the little cookie sandwich or something like that. Oh my,
Yeah.
we're gonna try it. I'm
Someone showed me, John, you know this, I forget his name. It's like 614 vegan powerlifter.
Josh, yeah. Yeah,
Josh.
yeah.
Okay, so he's like kind of does the same thing. He makes like a protein pudding, but he makes it like icing. So he makes it
Yeah.
out of protein powder and then he puts that on the green bite, and that is solid. That is so good.
Yeah.
I feel like I
sounds
think
good.
my favorite one, it is, yeah, it is really good. I think my favorite one would probably be, I love the cookie sandwiches. I'm a sucker for the cookie
Hmm.
sandwiches.
So
What's your
good.
favorite,
The
John?
I think the ube cookie sandwich is
Yeah.
probably my favorite cookie. I do like the cinnamon rolls. I'm not gonna lie. The cinnamon rolls are
Mm.
pretty solid as well. Um, and then for the protein bites, probably the unicorn funfetti one. That's like
Fun.
Mm-hmm.
my favorite one. Yeah. So if anybody's like, ooh, green bites, I know Brooke and I both have links for them in our bios. Check them out. They're based out of Naples. I might actually go there in like 2 weeks. I'm gonna be in Miami with Sean, and so I said I want to stop by and see. I mean, I know Gian. I've met him in person a few times. He's pretty cool. He's a little out there. He's a little crazy. I'll give him that. But I think you gotta be a little crazy to run your own business. Um, yeah.
All right, so well, I'll wrap up my win and then we can do the question game. Okay, so I'll do 2 wins. So my first win, lost 3 pounds this week. That was pretty awesome. Wasn't expecting that big of a drop. Yeah, because last week I didn't drop, and then I was like, that sucks. But then this week it all came together. So that was exciting. Very happy about that. I'm feeling really good. My second win, I made some really good buns, like high protein. It's really seitan. It's really seitan, but I just changed the recipe a little bit to be more like bread instead of like meaty.
What
So
did
they're
you?
like,
Oh, sorry.
what did I what?
What did you use as your flour? Out of curiosity.
Oh, I just used the Vital Wheat
Vital Wheat.
gluten.
You didn't add any extra flour.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
No, I'll post the recipe, but literally they are just like bread. It is so good. Well, I mean, like considering the
Yeah,
macros, like
yeah.
right, it's
Considering
like
that it's
right. It's not gonna be like a delicious sourdough bread, but it's like it's like the closest thing you can get. It only has like 7 grams of carbs. So good. So yeah, stay on the lookout for that recipe. I'll be posting that soon.
Yeah, you can
yeah.
make
I
it
use,
with
go
you
ahead.
can make it with protein powder if you want to make it like kind of like more of like a sweet dessert. I was just thinking with what Brooke just said though, like imagine like some garlic bread and then you could dip it like in some pasta sauce or something. Like That sounds. Now I'm getting hungry and wish I brought some Vital Wheat gluten on this trip.
Yeah, I made them garlic and rosemary and so good, so good. And I made like a little soup, and I was dipping it in my soup. So good. It's like perfection.
Mm.
I'll be posting it for you guys.
That sounds so good. Yeah, I use quinoa flour with my bagels. That's why I was asking because I've tried
No.
flours with Vital Wheat gluten to try to get a really good texture because Vital Wheat gluten is chewy as
Chewy.
and so I've been trying to really hard to get that texture without the chew because like that's for me. I hate chewing. That's actually one of the reasons I went vegan is because I hated chewing meat. Like I hated it. It was annoying. And I like that I don't have to chew my food a lot with vegan food, as weird as that sounds. But seitan and anything like that, you have to chew a ton, and it's so
Yeah.
annoying. And I hate it because I hate chewing. The lupini bean rolls definitely makes the seitan like way better. And then the quinoa flour I've found has made it way better to the point where I don't feel like I have to chew a lot. But yeah, I'm curious to try that recipe because any way I can make my seitan less chewy, I'm here for it.
I still have not tried the lupini bean seitan. I've just
Girl,
been putting it off forever because it seems
or
like it's more extra
it
steps.
seems like it's a lot, but the thing is it comes out like well, and again, this is part of the reason I care about it more is because of the chewiness. I couldn't handle my regular seitan recipe because of the chewiness and because of like it just felt annoying. The lupini beans, it just makes the texture better. And that's really the only reason why I've been consistent with doing it. I buy a box of 6 from Amazon of the Flora lupini beans. And then like it's in my pantry and then there's almost no excuse to not use them. Um and I just put them in my little high power blender real quick and then mix everything up. It is one extra step, but like I said, for me it's worth it. If you care about that texture aspect, then I'd say it's worth it. Um, but that's really the only difference.
I'll have to try it. That's Natalie Matthews' recipe, right?
Yeah, I didn't actually use her direct recipe. I used one from my friend Alyssa. I don't know if you guys follow her. It's like Alyssa D Fit. But I think she changed Natalie's original recipe. So that's like a
Okay.
hand down from her. But basically, yeah.
Small world. Funny how different we are. I love to chew. I like my food to
Mm.
take as long as possible. Like I've watched Netflix before and it'll be like 45 or 50 minutes into a show before I'm done eating and I'm just like, yes. But I don't know, maybe that's my own prep brain.
Yeah, I don't know. Something I think it's that my jaw gets tired, and when my jaw gets tired, I want to give up. As weird as that sounds, like I just want to be like swallow it, but I don't want to choke. And honestly, like I don't know. I think it's just a leftover thing uh from when I wasn't vegan and the whole meat
Mhm.
thing. And I don't want my food to be like meat. Like I know a lot of people do, I guess, but like I don't. I don't want to chew. I like I like my foods, but I like crisp chew. Like I like chewing apples and stuff. It's
Okay.
just when it's hard to chew, that's when I don't like. You remember the chew of red meats? Like I hate remembering that. You know what I mean? And that's what I remember when I'm eating seitan. Is that like
Yeah. I mean, that really, for me, that was prior to being 10 years old. So it's been a
yeah,
while,
yeah, yeah.
but
I didn't go vegan until after I was about 20, so it was like
yeah.
4 years ago.
I like I'll put it this way. I like certain foods that are like similar but not the same. Like for example, a really good black bean burger is nothing in texture like a regular burger, but it's still kind of like it's on a bun, it's got ketchup and
Oh
mustard in it.
yeah,
It
no.
tastes
I
really
love meat
good.
burger. And even like the Beyond burgers, I'll have that as like a treat, kind of a thing. It's a lot of calories, but it's okay. I like Beyond burgers aren't like regular burgers. They're easy to chew.
Mm,
Like they're not hard to they don't have that I don't know. They're easy to chew.
okay.
Everybody's got their weird texture thing. I can't
Weird
do like
texture thing.
melons.
It's all our autism. We just got a little touch of autism up here.
Bring Giacomo back on, let him join the chat.
All
Oh,
right, are we
man.
ready for our question?
Very ready.
Yes,
All right,
ma'am.
let's see what we got today. I did it on post-it notes and they're all a little bit stuck together. Okay, let's see what this one is. Ooh, this is a good one. I'm excited to hear what you guys have to say. If you were on death row, what would your last meal be?
Whew. Okay.
Wow. Ooh. My brain is going in so many different directions. I was like, if I'm on death row, do I really care
I was
about
just
one
like,
more meal?
is
But
there a volume limit? Because I'm a volume eater. I like large amounts of food. So like one meal isn't just one food, it's like 20 foods.
Yeah, I mean that's what they do on death row. Have you ever seen like the orders of people? It'll be crazy. It'll be like a bucket of Popeye's chicken, a boiled potato, like all kinds of stuff.
I want a
Okay.
petition to make those meals vegan going forward. Nobody else needs to die
You're
before
not
you
allowed to
do.
kill anybody before you die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agree. Agree.
That's a tough one for me.
Man, I know what it is. I've narrowed it down to two. It
Okay,
would
go
either
for
be
it.
pizza or pancakes. It's got to be one of those two
You would
for
pick
me.
one or the other though? You wouldn't pick both?
Well, are we allowed to pick both? Because if we're
That's
allowed to
what I
pick
was
both,
just saying is because I literally
Yeah.
could not pick one.
yeah, I would start with the pancakes and finish with the pizza. You start with the sweet, finish with the savory. That's probably what I would do. Um,
Mine's gonna be so similar. I would probably do pizza and cake.
yeah.
Can y'all tell I used to be a fat kid? Yeah,
See,
that
yeah,
I
I'm like,
just
we need a bag of chips, a box, like a thing of cookies, probably like a whole thing of Green Bites Go cookies. Um, and I'm like, I agree with the sweet and savory. Honestly, I really like vegan chicken nuggets. So like some
Ooh,
vegan
yeah.
nuggets with some like vegan ranch, that'd be hidden. Um,
On a pizza.
oh yes, like a buffalo chicken pizza, buffalo vegan
Yeah,
chicken
with the
pizza.
ranch to dip in.
yeah, so probably I can agree with the pizza. I can agree with the
You
chicken
were
nuggets.
saying something about how you like your pizza. You might have been saying pepperoni. I can't
Oh yeah,
recall.
yeah. I like my pizza with the pepperoni and like everything like that, so we can get it like nice and greasy with the Mykonos, cheese and all that kind of stuff. I actually have never had a vegan pizza like in person that I liked as much as my own pizza. Because like
Hmm.
I get the what's it, the Pillsbury like rolls of the pizza crust because I don't want to make my own. That's a lot of work. And
Yeah.
I'll roll that out and put everything on it, and you can make it so decadent. I mean, you can put so much of the of your ground beef crumbles and cheese, and to the point where you're eating a pizza slice that's like this tall, and it's
Hmm.
like a thick crust. I have never had a place make it for me like that in person. They're always
Yeah.
skimping.
Yeah.
You come to Tampa, I'll get you one of my Gourmet Pizza Co. bodybuilding vegan
All
pizzas.
right,
Those are
I'll
pretty good.
try. Well, I'll try.
My brother, he can make some. It's funny, I'm here to visit him. I'm thinking about him. He would take like the pizza dough, he'd make the pizza, but then he'd roll it up and it'd be like this long thing that he'd put in the oven. And when it comes out, he would chop it. And it's kind of like a rolled up pizza bite, kind of crunchy on the outside, doughy on the inside.
That's
Y'all are making me hungry. Why?
I know.
Mm,
we're like all on prep and like torturing ourselves in this call. It's great.
yeah.
John's got a lot of
He's not on
freedom.
prep. Okay. Well, yeah,
I
no, you get
well,
meal still.
I I get like 4,000-ish calories on training days and like 2,800 on off days. So like I'm not gonna lie, the off days are a little bit harder to get through because for me that's like 5 meals, 500 calories each, give or take.
Right.
Not that much food. I'm like 248 pounds right now. Not that much food for me, but like I can get through it. Like, okay, I got one off day and then I'm back on plan. Food's high again. I'm good to go. But since I got my teeth out or in, whatever this process is, technically I'm not supposed to go to the gym for 2 weeks, but they can laugh all the way to wherever they're going if they think that's going to happen. I'm going to like get some blood flow bands and go do like some light arms tomorrow or the next day. Like, don't tell the dentist, but I'm going to do it. but I'm like stuck on 2,800 calories like indefinitely, and so I'm actually starting to get hungry. But I'll live. I got down to as low as like 2,000 during prep, so this isn't even quite near that. But yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
Well, I hope everyone enjoyed this lighthearted content here because now we're about to get into some real serious shit.
Thank you for reeling us in, Brooke. Talk about
You're
food all day.
welcome. You're welcome. Trigger warning, everybody. No, but really, so we did
Okay, I
want
need
to
a
talk.
break from thinking about food.
Yeah, it's my rest day, so I've got no food today, so I'm like, shit. Let's stop talking about it. But yeah, so we wanted to talk a little bit about overcoming trauma through fitness, through bodybuilding, and a lot of people. It's really surprised me getting in this sport how many people have come from trauma or maybe like a difficult childhood or something. They've had some sort of hardship in their life and they've kind of found their way and their peace through bodybuilding. It's interesting. And I'm sure, I mean, I know John knows Justin Mahaley, Kaitlin, I'm sure you do too. I think I was listening to one of his podcasts and he had someone on who was like a neuro psych student or something, and she was basically talking about how well, they kind of made a joke like you have to be a little fucked up to be in the sport, like you got to have a little bit of a little bit of something wrong with you. But I thought it was really interesting because that is how I got in the sport. And Kaitlin, me and you have talked off air, and I know that that's kind of how you came into the sport too. It's really crazy how many people have found this sport through a really hard time in their life.
100%. I think that I mean, so to give you guys a little backstory on that, I have a 4-year-old daughter, and her dad, I met him when I was 17, and he was 20. Well, he told me he was 24, and I found out after about 4 or 5 months that he was 34. And at that point, unfortunately, I was already a little too deep in the situation to be thinking clearly, and was young enough that I was pretty easily manipulated. And I stayed with him for like 2 years, and obviously got pregnant and had my daughter. And like I tell everybody this is that was the worst time of my life, the hardest time of my life. I wouldn't wish what I went through on my worst enemy, but it made me the strongest like person that I think I could possibly be. It created the strongest version of me. Um, because I know that I'm capable of anything that I like decide to do. Like it's the only thing that limits me is my brain and like my thought processes. Um so like that's kind of been my experience with all of it, is that even though I have a daughter, even though I have, a lot of responsibilities in my life, like a lot of things that I have to do, that's not an excuse or a reason or anything that's going to hold me back from reaching my goals and from doing what I want to do. Um, because like I kind of was able to reach a point where I'm not going to let people tell me that this isn't possible, that's not possible, or I'm already here, or that I need to stay within these boundaries, because I can create my own boundaries. This is my life. Like, this is nobody else's life but mine. And I'm the one who has to live it. Um, so that's to summarize, that's kind of like the trauma leading to strength kind of a thing. Isn't necessarily like the trauma was a good thing, but it's that you do not let that trauma hold you down. You don't sit there every day and think about all the bad things that happen to you. I honestly almost never think about the bad things because there's no point. It's not helpful. Like I did therapy, and I worked through that, and that is helpful in its own regard, and it is there's points where you need to reflect and you need to be aware of where your mental state was at when you made choices. But then there's also the other aspect of it where it's like you need to move forward. You need to accept that that's the past, and that already happened, and there's nothing you can do about it. Nothing you do now is going to change that. And the only thing that you can do to make it better is to go live your life. And that's kind of like I think about it now. It's like if he or anyone who hurt me sees how I'm doing now, all they see is that I'm doing great. I'm doing fantastic, because I'm trying and I'm using every single effort that I have in my body to be the best person that I can be. So
Mm.
that's kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing and being a little bit vulnerable and open. How old are you right now?
I'm turned 25 on Saturday. So
Okay.
yeah, it's been about she turned 4 in April, and it's been about 5 years that I've been out of that relationship. And I actually went vegan pretty soon after leaving that relationship. Um, kind of in the whole I'm changing my life kind of thing. Like I'm getting my everything together and I'm gonna be the best version of me, sort of a thing.
Yeah. I think like one thing that came to mind while you were speaking is like don't waste the trauma. As weird as that might sound to some people, like you did go through something, you just claimed it was the hardest thing you've gone through in your life. That's powerful. If we can use that as not necessarily motivation, but just like a testament of how strong you are, of how you got through this, of how you want to change yourself and live your life going forward. I can say in my own journey, there was a point in time where one person made my life so hard that it was the hardest point in my life as well. And granted, I allowed that person to have power over me. I think in your case, even more so, like you're not equipped. You didn't have the tools to deal with an abusive relationship at that time or a controlling relationship at that time. So you can't be too hard on yourself and be like, well, I should have seen all the signs. Like you don't know until you're in it. And only once you go through it can you be like, yeah, I'm not doing that again. Most
Never.
people, at least. Yeah.
Right.
But you did go through it and look where you are now. I think
No.
that's powerful.
I totally agree with that, with like not wasting the trauma. Not like it's like you use it. And, like I don't believe in people in the gym fighting the demons, wearing the hoodie and the headphones. Like I don't think that's the best mental health like state to be in. You know, like we've all been there, but that's not the best state to be. But using the trauma as like you said, where it's, you know, I've been through way worse than this. This ain't nothing compared to what I've been through. So kind of like as a marker in our own minds when we are struggling to be like, wait, this isn't the struggle. The struggle was back then. Now is where it's easy. I can power through this, no problem.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's interesting to me, like from a psychology standpoint, how you have people who deal with trauma or any just sort of hardship or just some sort of stressful event, even if it's just like everyday life, people handle it very differently. And it's interesting to me how some people, like, let's just take a bodybuilding prep, for example. So, like, you may have somebody who's like, man, I can't even focus on tracking my food right now. Like, screw my macros, screw my workouts. Like, my life is just a mess right now. Like, I'm going through so much. You have that person, and not necessarily that that's a bad thing. Like, everybody handles their stress differently, but then total polar opposite, you have people, and I feel like Kaitlin, all three of us we're in this camp of like, man, like I've got so much shit going on. Now's the time to hunker down and like push through it. Like it's interesting to me because that's how I felt in my bodybuilding prep because I was just reeling off a very abusive relationship. I was dating this vegan influencer for a while, and I when I came off of that, like I was struggling with a lot. Like John was saying, like blaming myself. Why did I stay in it so long? Why didn't I see the signs? Why didn't I listen to the people around me? Why didn't I listen to people who warned me? What is wrong with me? Why would I do that? Like all of those complicated emotions. But at the same time, like I was killing everything, like my food, my cardio, my lifts. I was making new friends. In a way, it was like it just was it was even more important for me to get my life together because I had had it taken away from me. And so I had this like new fire that was like, no, like no one's going to tell me you can't do a bodybuilding prep. You can't hire a male coach. You can't do this. You can't make friends at the gym. Like no one's going to tell me that. Like I'm going to go out and I'm going to live my life the way that I want to. And I'm gonna get my life back. And so it was like it's interesting because in another world, I could have just totally shut down and not wanted to do anything, not wanted to talk to anybody, not want to continue coaching and being online and having a presence online. And I mean, forget a bodybuilding prep and all that that entails, but for some reason it was even more motivating for me to stay true to that goal and to like have that support for myself because I didn't have any other support. And it was like this is even more important than ever. I mean, aside from the bodybuilding prep, like that's a small part of it, but it was bigger picture, like
It's
I'm doing what I
important
want to
because
do.
it's important to you. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, so it's interesting to me. I don't know if there's like some sort of like psychology like
Gotta say, I wonder if
experiment.
there's some study on like why some people go like like you and I, the opposite direction instead of shutting down. Um,
Yeah, but it is
like
interesting how healing I mean like this sounds stupid, but like if you're in the sport, you would know. Like it is interesting how like a prep and in some ways can be kind of healing. And like for one, you have a lot of periods of isolation, which like for me was so crucial to my healing from that relationship because I had always been in a relationship. I had always had somebody to lean on. Like I always had somebody there like to support me, to be my like emotional support dog. And now it was like it was just me. It was me. I moved back home. I lived 15 hours away in Florida. I moved back home with my mom. And I mean, I was going to the gym by myself. I was doing my cardio by myself. I just was like picking myself up, but like I feel like so many people lack time alone. And the benefit of time alone, I feel like, is you're forced to deal with your thoughts. And like, so yes, you're on a cardio machine, you're distracting yourself a little bit, but like by how much? Your brain still kind of goes off and you still kind of think about some things and maybe some things pop in your head. You're forced to confront those things and deal with those things when you're alone. You're not leaning on somebody to make you feel better. So I feel like processing all of that is really really helpful, and especially for people who haven't been alone. Like that was really important for me to finally have a period where I wasn't in a relationship. So that is kind of one benefit I do see as like in bodybuilding or like just fitness in general is like you have periods where you're alone. You're not going out on the weekends. You're not getting drunk. You're not partying because you can't. Your goals are important. So I feel like that time alone can be very healing.
I
I
totally
hadn't even
agree.
considered it. Like now that you mention it, I'm kind of reflecting back on my previous preps. Like, yeah, you're going to be alone a lot. Um, Even if you don't really want to be. I mean, like when you get up at 6 a.m. to go do cardio, probably not having somebody join you for that. When you go back to train at night, you might have a training partner, you might not, but you're going to be eating all your own meals for 20 weeks. It is a good amount of time that you're just going to kind of withdraw. When you get tired in prep, you get tired in all ways. I think, especially for me, I get like socially tired. Like, I don't want to be around people. I don't want to have to answer questions. Where do I get my protein? Or, how many weeks until the shit? Like, I just almost want to shut down and hide. And for me, that's not
Just
as
wait till you
easy
have a
now with.
toddler saying, "Mommy, why? Mommy, why? I want to wear shoes. Mommy, I want to do this. Mommy, why is your hair like that? Mommy, I want to tan. Mommy, I want this."
Oh no, if you listen to the last
Yeah.
episode, we already talked about that's a no for me.
Yeah.
I can't imagine. That's a whole nother game. I will say this though, from the women I've worked with that are mothers, not all of them, but I would definitely put it in their favor. Like if you gave me a potential like prep client and I got to pick whether or not she had had children, from at least a mindset perspective, if I had a random person I didn't know, I would say the one that had children. because they already know how to work hard. They usually have their shit together. Like, they're not only managing their schedule, they're managing other people's schedules, and they know how to go through and grow through pain. So my mom coaches, or the moms that I'm coaching, I can push them. I can push them in the gym. They're going to be tough. So there is a whole aspect of the sport side from having kids that I guess shouldn't be just overlooked.
Oh, 100%. Like, I do think that part of why I'm a strong person is from having her and from, I mean, I raised her for the first 2.5 years by myself. So just doing that itself kind of had made my brain a lot more adapted to that. And I was, of course, joking about the nagging, but it's like as I get towards the end of prep, it does start to get hard to handle her in that, like, she doesn't know that I'm hungry and tired and, can't handle her millions of questions because she's 4. So questions are kind of the thing now. Um, so that's, kind of the second side of it. But, as far as the building me up to this point, having her was a huge part of that. Like, I'm sure that your clients who are moms kind of handle being told what to do better, because I handle being told what to do from my coach. Like, I hate telling her no. Like, when my coach tells me something, I'm like, all right, it's done. Like, yeah, I'm gonna fit it in and it's gonna happen. But it's like I've got my treadmill right here in my room, and my daughter comes in and she'll tap me on the leg while I'm walking in the mornings, because she wakes up and comes in and I'm on the treadmill. But it's I lost my train of thought. But um
Yeah, I
yeah,
think
You
there's a
you
lot
do
of
what it takes
parallels.
to stay on your prep.
you do what it takes. But I was gonna say the other thing, back to what Brooke had said about not going out of control when things are hard in life. I found that with that is that one phrase that my team uses a lot is control the controllables. And that's kind of like the biggest part of all of this that's so helpful with, like, when things get stressful outside of everything else. I can't always control my client schedule. I can't always control my grandma's schedule. I can't control all these things that I have to do. Can't control the weight drops, can't control things like that. But I can control my food. Like, I can control what I eat and what I do with my body, how much I exercise, that kind of thing. And that's kind of the stress reliever for me, is that, and when people are freaking out too, like, about random things in life, I always use that to try to help people calm down, is like, take a deep breath, A. B, like, is it something that you can fix right now? Like, is there something you can do right now to fix it? Okay, if not, stop freaking out about it. It's not going to make it any better. You got to calm down and find out something you can do to fix it. Because I feel like I have a panic disorder. And so that's something I had to teach myself, because, like, I would have anxiety attacks for, like, no reason. Well, not no reason, but, and I had to learn how to teach myself of, like, okay, you take deep breaths, you calm yourself down, and then you control the controllables, do what you can. And going back to my daughter, that's something that I feel like I'm a good mom, because my parents didn't teach me how to calm down. They just made me calm down, screamed at me until I calmed down. And I think most parents kind of do that. They kind of scream at their kids until they calm down, because they don't know they're uncalm. When your kid's crying, that deregulates your nervous system. So you just want them to stop. So you think that you're yelling at them is going to make them stop, and it's not going to help. But so I teach her deep breaths. And whenever she gets upset, I'm like, okay, we need to take a deep breath. We do our arms up. Okay, deep breaths, and we'll do that. And now when she gets upset and she can't calm down, she'll look at me and she'll go, Mommy, I need to take deep breaths. Help me take deep breaths. And it's so sweet, and it makes my heart so happy, because I know that when she's my age, she's not going to have an anxiety disorder. She's not going to be freaking out over nothing, because she's going to look at other people when they're freaking out, and she's going to go, you need to take a deep breath. And like, I love that. Like, I'm so excited for her to grow up and be, like, emotionally calm.
That's amazing. Good for you. I do love that quote, control the controllables. And I think another important part of that is also like realizing what you can control. Like people will I'll get clients sometimes and they're like, well, I can't control my food. Like, I was out of town, and then like my job, they brought in all this food for us to eat. And it's like, people act like they can't control their food. Like, you completely 100% control what goes in your mouth. But like, people act like they can't. Well, I
Nobody
was out
put
of
that food
town.
in your mouth.
Right. And it's like, oh, well, I couldn't work out my work schedule, this, that. Like, it's like all of these excuses. It's like, no, hold on, bring it down. Like, these are things you can control. You can control your food. You can control when you work out. Like, I mean, if you have to get up earlier, get up earlier. So
Or go to bed later.
knowing that, yes, you can control these things. You can control your stress. That's something I had to learn just recently too, because it felt like it wasn't something I could control. It felt like life just happens. I just get stressed. I'm a high strung person. It is what it is. Um, and like, I'm like, no, life is never gonna change. Life is always gonna have some shit going on. Like, look at John's weekend. Like, Jesus Christ. Like, I would have been like losing my mind. But it's like, that's just life. Like, that's just how shit works. Like, there's always going to be something. So like, like, I'll have clients who, like, something happens, like a small inconvenience, and everything goes out the window. They're not working out, they're not tracking their food, they're not drinking their water. And it's like, if you do that every single time that life happens, you're always going to be stuck in the same place. You're always going to be starting at zero. So like, you have to, exactly like you said, control the controllables. You can control more than you think. And that's why I've been really working on my stress. Basically doing what you're telling your daughter to do, doing breath work every day and journaling and stuff like that. Because you're so right. My parents never taught me that. My mom probably could be diagnosed with an anxiety disorder, and my brother is diagnosed with one. So it just seemed like, oh, it just runs in our family. But again, it's like, oh, obesity runs in our family. Is that an excuse to be obese? No. So that's not an excuse for me to be anxious and high stress. And here I've already had gut issues. I've already had like thyroid issues, and I could probably tie all of that to high stress, coming off of an abusive relationship, then a year of physical stress and competing. And it's just, it like, cortisol wreaks havoc on your body. So to me, I'm like, no, this doesn't have to be my life. It's a long road. It's going to take me a while to reset my nervous system,
Baby
but
step.
it's consistency. And so that's something I've really been working on.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
I think for me, a big mental shift, similar mind of Brooke, actually taking a lot of inspiration from Brooke. I used to in my past when I was younger try to control everything, not just the controllables, but I try to control everything. And I thought if I planned the best and thought things through the best, I could pretty much control everything. And that turned out to be very much not true. Almost just like yesterday with Airbnb. Like, didn't matter that I was there on time. I wasn't getting in. And so it's how can you shift and refocus when things don't go your way? And how can you be creative? Like I try to view things almost as like a puzzle or a game. Like when this happens, how can we get creative enough to fix it? Like the other day I was trying to train. When I was gonna go to Orlando. It's only supposed to be about an hour and a half drive, but with traffic, it was gonna be like almost 3 hours. And I was like, oh no, like I've already eaten my meal. Like I'm supposed to train in under 2 hours. Everything I have my pre-workout ready. Everything's gonna be off. And then, like person I was with was like, why don't we just train at a gym that's closer? And I was like, and then finish the drive after. And I was like, that makes so much sense. Let's do that. Like, like I hadn't considered. I was like, man, all right, I could eat another meal and then we'll get to the gym this time. Or I was just trying to like think of every way that could do it. And then it's like sometimes just like that outside thought. So I guess what I'm trying to say is instead of getting stressed that something's not going to happen the way you planned it, like how could you make it better? Or how could you salvage it at worst? But I don't know.
Yeah. Another thing I think with bodybuilding perhaps is like, you're so fixated on a goal too. So it's easy to, well, I don't want to say it's easy to, but like, time, it's almost moving in a different way, because like, you have this goal that you're just like hyper fixated on, and you're like accelerating towards. And so like all this like little stuff, um in the background may not feel as important. And so I think sometimes having a goal, like coming out of a hard time, or even during a hard time, can be really beneficial because at least it's just something to be excited about. So that was really helpful for me coming out of that relationship, moving back home. Is I had this goal, and even though it was like 20 weeks away, and then slowly getting closer, it was so exciting and it was just so fun. And it's like you're working towards being a little bit better every day to reach that goal. And so like when you're just fixated on that and moving full speed towards that, you're getting better as a person, you're growing as a person, and you also have like the light in the darkness, right? So like even though you're working through like your emotions and trying to get through like a really hard time, you still have something to look forward to, which I think would be really helpful for people. And it doesn't have to be a bodybuilding prep, like anything, like people could, I don't know. I mean, I don't know about really any other extracurricular activities. I'm sure you guys could think of stuff,
Like
but
a
like
vacation, or
a
goals that people set,
vacation.
body goals for themselves, and that's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Or like, I don't know, like a fun game or something, like a fun concert with a friend. I
Yeah,
don't know, just something like for people to have something to look forward to, I think is really important when going through trauma and like trying to process that.
I agree. Having like a kind of a goal, but like a timeline based goal,
Yeah.
that kind of forces you to actually do what you say you're going to do. Because I'm sure you guys meet a lot of clients like this, but I meet a lot of clients like this who are like, oh, one day I'll do this and I'll be this and I'll do all that, and kind of go on to this little spiel of one day, and oh, but you have this and you have that and blah 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 and blah blah blah, and it's like, people make it so abstract for themselves. You have to make it concrete. You have to make it personal. You have to make it real. Like, you have to make it so that it's like, no, I living in my body, I'm going to be going to that concert and I want to look good. I want to take pictures and I want to feel good about it. And there are actionable steps I can take to do that and to be a healthier person, you know? So I'm sure you guys deal with the same thing of like, talking to people about that, but you have to be motivated to do it. There's a level of motivation and a level of dedication. And I believe motivation and dedication kind of play in with each other. Some people say it's all dedication and zero motivation. I don't 100% believe that. I think you have to be motivated for the original goal. I think you have to have your original, like, no, like, I really want that. Like, I really want to do that. That's my motivation. And then you dedicate yourself to that cause. You dedicate yourself to the process that's going to take you to get there, because that's where the dedication comes in. Because no matter what, in that 3 months, that concert, that vacation, the show, wedding, whatever, is still going to be there. And it's, have you dedicated yourself for the past amount of time or not? And that's where I think that I agree on the beneficial of that, but it's that you have to dedicate yourself to whatever is motivating you.
Yeah. Like
It's
I
like a
think that's, sorry, John, go ahead.
um, I was gonna say it's like a bridge. Like you start with the motivation, but then you have to have the dedication, and that's what takes you to the goal.
Gets you there.
Yeah, and that is kind of the benefit with the bodybuilding show. It's like, all right, it's this date. I'm this far out. Like I'm doing it. But you could do
And
that,
you also go into it knowing people are gonna look at you in a bikini, and you're like, "Whew, that's real close to naked."
Yeah. Oh yeah. But I do think a vacation can be very motivating for some people. Like, and that's something that I really do feel like people should do. After a traumatic event or just going through some shit. I remember my first vacation after all that with my mom was like heaven. It was just it was great. Also like a 5K. Like I know some people are runners, that I mean that could be something too, but just something to look forward to. And I don't know if you guys are Harry Potter fans, but like Dumbledore says, even in the darkest of times, happiness can be found if one just remembers to turn on the light. And it's so true.
Aw.
I love that.
I have it all memorized. So
My fiance is a huge Harry Potter fan, so he's in the same boat.
I know, I love it. And then I also just think, you know, like you do find yourself in like, oh, it's this may again to people who aren't in the sport. That may sound stupid. But where was I going? Oh, like when you're really hungry and when you're like so tired and you have all this shit to do for your prep and you have meal prep and you have your workouts, like I feel like you kind of tap into your inner self too a little bit to really find that discipline and that drive to keep going. And I feel like a lot of people need that too, especially like leaving a terrible relationship or getting over a bad breakup or like whatever it is. Like I know you went through a terrible breakup, John. So just finding those inner strengths within yourself, which are kind of exposed during a bodybuilding prep, are really helpful because a lot of times you come out of these situations feeling a little bit vulnerable and feeling a little bit like, well, what am I going to do without somebody? And will I ever find somebody? And like, why did this happen to me? And you aren't really as sure of yourself. You aren't necessarily as secure with yourself. And I certainly wasn't. So, like, seeing exactly what I could do and what I was capable of was just so reassuring. And it just really helped me find like that inner strength and be like, damn, no, like this girl, like, she can do anything. Like she can starve, she can still show up for her workout, she can bust her ass. And like I said, it may sound dumb to people who don't know otherwise, but it gets hard. It gets hard and it's a mental game. Like your body can be very resilient and deal with whatever, but mentally you have to find it within yourself to keep pushing and to keep showing up. And it's really hard sometimes, but I think it's also really important for character building.
I would say
I
we can grow through hard things, whether or not that's trauma or self-imposed trauma like bodybuilding. My last prep was undoubtedly the hardest thing I've ever done in my entire life. And I think not just being able to see how you can physically change yourself, like that's kind of the almost the motivation, if you will, or the start of it. But like when you see that you can change your body, you realize you can change the rest of your life too. I think if you haven't been in prep, you might not fully understand this side of it. But for me at least, there becomes a time where prep gets hard enough that there's no room in my life for bullshit. There's no room in my life for somebody to like slow me down or drag on me while I'm going towards this goal. I was actually, it's funny you mentioned Justin Mahaley, Brooke, but like I was listening to his podcast and he said in one of his episodes, whoever's listening to this right now, you're in a relationship, you're in it because it's convenient, you're in it because you don't know how to get out, but you're not in it because it's right for you and you need to leave. And like I heard that and I felt that and I was like, holy shit, he's speaking to me. So there's probably somebody listening to this right now that's in a relationship that doesn't know how to get out or in a relationship that doesn't quite fit them. Maybe it's convenient, maybe that's where they live. Um, but it's not right for you. And you need to take that step. And for me, like prep just kind of it cleared that fog of like, how do I make this? Like, it just, okay, this is the right one. This is the right one. This is the right decision. This other stuff, I need to let that go. And for me, I think that's probably the most valuable part of prep. Like, bodybuilding in and of itself is cool, but it's helped me shape the rest of my life into things that are more meaningful to me and helping me make those hard decisions on letting some things that were holding me back go.
Mm, yeah. When you're tired and hungry, you just don't have time for people's bullshit. So it can make you very aware of like what you're settling for.
Yeah.
I did have a question for you, Kaitlin. So I know when I was like transitioning out of that relationship, I was in these groups and I would like these support groups, and I would always see people like talking about how it was really difficult for them to leave those situations because they had kids. So like yeah, so the quote was something
yeah.
like he had lost his mom and he said something about how losing her was so painful, but he used the hurt to remember how much he loved her. Like he was hurting so bad because he loved her so much. And I was just like, wow, what a way to think about it. So you know, that is one way to think about it. It is tough when you have a relationship and like both of you, because it's like the likelihood of you and Allie like ending on like bad terms, like where you hate each other, like that's like not gonna happen. So it's just like, you know, you just have to take it for what it is and be like, well, we really loved each other and we had a really good time together. Not that that's ever going to happen, but like if it did happen, like you would just have to embrace the hurt and the pain that way. Like I feel this because we just had something so good.
Yeah, I agree. I don't like to ruminate on it, but I do imagine like if she unexpectedly left, as far as like died, that would be hard to come back from. But also, I mean, I would still want to like pass forward the things I've learned from her. I think that's been a huge thing. She's been a huge mentor for me. It's weird to have a mentor that's also your partner. Maybe it's not weird. I mean, maybe that's what we should all strive for. But we have had the talk. Like, if for some reason we don't end up together 10 years from now, at this point, I don't see any reason why we couldn't still be friends. And we've both said that. And that's something that I've tried to do with prior exes. And it just, I've tried on my end, but it hasn't worked. Um, I feel like this could be different, and I'm not entirely sure why, other than just we both seem to be on a very similar track with life, um, and how we communicate. And anyways, but we can get back to our regularly scheduled programming. We have a relationship episode another time.
Yeah, Kaitlin, I did want to ask you about, you know, leaving a toxic relationship when you have children, because that's something a lot of women struggle with. And I remember being in these support groups after I left, and that was the biggest thing. That was people were hung up on. Like, well, I've got kids. Like, you wouldn't understand. You don't have kids, but you did have kids. So for you, like, which I respect so freaking much, by the way. So like for you, what was your mindset?
So I was pregnant when I left him. I actually hadn't had her yet. And I do think that me not having her made it a lot easier to leave, because of the physical danger. Leaving a domestic violence relationship, the most dangerous time isn't actually when you're in the relationship, it's 2 weeks after you leave, because that's when they realize that A, you're not coming back, and B, well, you might as well be dead, because I mean, you're not with them. So you know, they don't have any concept of your feelings or thoughts or emotions. Um, so me being pregnant, it was easier because I didn't have to worry about anything happening to her outside of me, you know, if I left. And I also hadn't put him on any birth certificate, anything like that. And I never did. I will never put him on a birth certificate. I will never even claim him. If he tries to come up to me and get a court order, I'm gonna say, I don't know you. Sorry. Because like I ain't dealing with that. But I actually struggled with this for a while, because when I initially left him, I felt some guilt. And don't get me wrong, he hurt me while I was pregnant, which was the final straw for me. That was what helped me realize, okay, not only does he not care about me, he's willing to kill this kid too, because he not cares about me so much. So like if I did stay with him and had the baby, he absolutely would hurt the baby. That kind of put that all together in my brain of like, oh, okay, no, 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 like he's not, no, because for a while I thought that there was a shred of a good person in him, that he had been abused as a kid, and I thought that, you know, it was just issues, and that maybe at some point he could work through them, you know, delusion. um but when I realized he could hurt a kid too, then I was like, oh no, this isn't staying, this isn't working. And that's when I was able to kind of fully separate myself from him and leave. But I did have the guilt of like, I'm taking her away from her biological father. Is that something wrong? Like, am I doing something wrong? And I did a lot of research on it. And I even went on Reddit and did some like, you know, anonymous am I the asshole things and stuff like that, because I genuinely could not tell if I was being an asshole. Like because I'm so like empathetic, I thought, well, I'm keeping his daughter away from him, and like, is that a bad thing to do? Everybody was like, no girl, you keep that baby far away from that man. Do not let him hurt her. Um and it helped me reconcile everything of like, oh no, like he's a bad person, he would hurt her. And even if he didn't hurt her the first time he saw her, what if he got, you know, unsupervised custody, and then I come back and she's gone, you know, something, he does something terrible to her because she was crying and he couldn't handle it or something like that. And so that was kind of what was able to fully solidify, like, no, he doesn't need to be in a child's life. Like, he's not capable of that. He's not capable of being in anyone's life, let's be real, but much less a child's. And so I think it would have been a lot harder if I'd had her after, you know, because then I would have had to take her from him, in that, like, he would have been thinking I was taking her from him.
Yeah.
Um, I really extremely feel for women in those situations. And you and I have kind of talked about this, where it's like, I wish I could help in that in that area, create like a different kind of narrative with that. Um, and court systems are varied. It's like some court systems are really good about protecting moms, and some court systems really aren't. They've gotten so onto the progressive end that they're like, oh no, we need to give fathers rights too. Which, don't get me wrong, it's a hard world. Moms and dads can be abusive, you know, like,
Mhm.
I'm not going to sit here and say women aren't abusive. They are. It's just men can like kill you when they're abusive. Women are, it's like a little bit less likely that they're going to murder you. That's for women. I do feel like we have a more of a danger aspect with domestic violence because our lives are endangered with domestic violence. Whereas men, it's like, I mean, unless she has a gun, which they do that too. But you know, like, it's just that you guys know what I mean. Um, yeah, I'd say having my daughter was what got me out of it, in that it gave me the realization. But if I had waited until after I gave birth, life would have been way harder.
Yeah.
Even legally, it would have been way harder.
Yep.
I wanted to ask a question. Do you feel now? Do you still feel any of that guilt?
No, and part of that is because I have my fiance now. He's an amazing father. He is so good to her. She loves him endlessly. I think part of the guilt was just that she didn't have a father figure, period. And
Mm,
I felt bad about that. Do I think that all children need a father figure? No, I think that not having an abusive father is probably much better than just not having a father at all. But like,
yeah.
that whole guilt was from that, like, I wanted to be the best mother that I can be. And I felt like, as the best mother I could be, she should have someone who's that, you know, strong, stable, all the things that I can't provide, because I'm a quite typical woman. I have big emotions, and you know, like, I am me, you know. And I wanted her to have something other than me. And to be fair, we live with my grandmother. I take care of her as well, so she has my grandmother, but again, that's another woman, and that's an old lady at that. Now that she has my fiance, I do feel really good about everything, because he's very good to her. He provides that kind of stability that she needs, and someone who's not me taking care of her, because kids always do this to their primary caretaker, where they kind of push boundaries and cry more and yell more, and they know they're safe, so they'll push boundaries. Versus with him, it's like he works all day, so she doesn't see him all day. So when she
Mm.
does see him, she is a lot better. She acts better. She, you know, follows rules. She wants to do what she says, because she knows that he's going to go to work again tomorrow. And kids do this with like all parents, where it's like they'll be much better for the person who's not the primary caregiver. And that's what I needed him. I needed somebody who wasn't the primary caregiver, because being primary 100% of the time is exhausting. It was, I mean, the first 2.5 years of her life were absolutely exhausting. I didn't compete until I had him. And I do think that he was a large factor of me being able to compete, because he takes a lot of the pressure of being a mom off. Not necessarily that I don't have to be a mom anymore, but I don't have to be a mom and a dad. Um, so like, I get to just be a mom and still compete and do what I need to do and all that kind of stuff. And of course, he's a dream, so he likes, you know, take, if we have a Saturday workout and my workout is 2.5 hours and his is an hour, you know, he'll take her home and get her some lunch, and you know, that kind of stuff, where it's like she would just be hanging out with me for the gym for 2.5 3 hours, and she does fine with that. You know, she cracks me up, because she's like this little gym girl at 4 years old. She'll grab, we have little 2-pound dumbbells. She'll grab them and she'll be like, I got muscles. Look at my muscles, and she's the strongest little girl I know because she's grown up in the gym.
Oh,
It's awesome. You wouldn't believe, like, I mean, she's doing things on the playground other kids who are twice her size can't do. I love it.
Hmm.
But it all ties into that. It's all about like he and I have such a healthy relationship, and we have built our lives around being healthy, period, that she sees that and she lives that. And she's I have a feeling she's going to be a pretty healthy person because she has the foundation and will never have to like worry about like, oh, how do I work out?
Yeah. Um, I have multiple thoughts
Go
always.
ahead. Go.
Is your daughter vegan as well?
So I'm not perfect. She's not
Yeah.
100% vegan. When she's with me, she eats the foods that I make and that kind of stuff.
Okay.
She goes to daycare. We live in Mississippi. So like she eats what they eat at daycare.
Okay.
And she does have like a dairy issue. Like when they give her milk, she'll get sick, like vomiting, that kind of stuff, diarrhea. But she can handle like cheese and eggs and stuff like that. And I let her for now. I do want I want to educate her about it as she grows up and kind of see if we can transition that. And especially once school is a little bit like easier in that they don't feed her at school. Um, it'll be an easier transition, but she's not right now. And I don't love that, but it's like it's I'm doing the best I can with what I got is how I feel like I'm at, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, I appreciate the honesty. And letting people know where you're at too. Danny Taylor, we had her on, and with her children, she explained that like at the childcare part, that was one of the harder spots. Like it wasn't, even if she would send food with them, sometimes they would give them food off plan, like milk, things that they were allergic to.
And that's the thing is it's like I struggle with the social inclusion part of it is that like I mean they have pizza days where they get pizza. She loves pizza. I love pizza, but they're not going to make a vegan pizza at the daycare. Like
Yeah.
they're and she if she got something different than what everybody else is getting, she's going to know, and she's going to feel bad about it because she's very empathetic. And so I've kind of had it's a constant moral struggle, of like, I want her to feel included. I want her to feel like she's part of things. And also like the specific daycare she's at, I'm actually not allowed to send her food. I could have picked different daycares, but this is I wanted to send her to this one. And she's only in it until August, and then she starts I wanted to go through the summer because 'cause I'm in prep. Um,
Mhm.
but in August, she starts real school, like regular school, in pre-K for 4s, and I'll be sending her food. So, like, at that point, I'm gonna be able to, like, I'll send her, food, and she loves vegan food, like, she eats all of it. It's just a matter of, like, when they have when they have extra stuff, whether or not she's going to be able to get that.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of in the zone of she's going to get it for now until she's at the cognizant level of me being able to explain to her why it's wrong and why we want to make good choices for our food. Because I do feel like the mental functioning part of it's important of like I don't want her to feel needlessly excluded because at this point she's not going to understand it. She's not going to understand why she can't eat what everybody else is eating. And even if she did, she's going to be at school spouting about, my mommy said that's evil and that's bad. And I don't know if I have the strength to handle that. I fight the milk battle because the milk makes her sick. So she's not getting milk, but everything else is I'm not fighting the battle right now.
Yeah.
look,
Another reason
I was
for
just
me
gonna
to
say,
not.
I wish more people were, I wish more people would realize that like you don't have to be perfect. Everything doesn't have to be 100% perfect for you to be vegan. Like that's not what being vegan is about. Like we said earlier, it's a mentality. And like the sad thing is like there are people who would give you so much shit. Like there's
I
vegans
know.
out there who would give you so much shit for
Yeah.
doing that when you're really just doing the best you can. And that's really about doing the best you can. And like we really need like more veg curious people, flexitarians, vegetarians. Like let's not make people feel bad about like the one extra mile they're not going to make sure they're like 100% perfect vegan, because it all adds up. And
I
like
know.
eventually your daughter's going to be a vegan. So like, you know, I feel like people need to be more accepting of like specifically the vegan community needs to be more accepting of like the imperfect veganism and people just trying to do the best that they can.
Absolutely. And honestly, like I feel like I'm making a bigger impact. Like if you think about it, one person going vegan, say, that's going to be one day. You're saying that's one day of them not eating meat. Well, what about 100 people not eating one meal of meat? That's technically saving more. I mean, like it's not good, it's not perfect, but I mean, it's baby steps. And like at the gym with my nutrition clients in person, and I pretty much transition them to where I do their check-ins online and I only see them in person as like a one workout per month kind of a thing. Um, but I have them track all their foods for a week. And then I go in and I edit their foods to make it fit their macros, because pretty much most people are already eating the things that you need to eat. You're just eating too much or the wrong amount, like too much bread and not enough chicken kind of a thing. Um, and so I go in and I edit people's foods, and it's the foods that they're already eating, meats and stuff like that. Sometimes I find opportunities where I see that they're not even getting enough protein sources, period, where I'll add some protein sources. I might add, tofu and give them like a really good tofu bite recipe, or I'll add daring chicken. I love daring chicken, and stuff like that, where I can kind of like slip in some vegan protein sources to people who would never have considered it ever. Wouldn't have even, considered even switching, but then they see where I put in a vegan protein source and they're like, "Oh, I'll go to the grocery store and I'll try it. Kaitlin seems to be pretty smart."
Mhm.
And that's like, for me, I feel like I'm making at least a little bit of an impact out here in Mississippi, is by, telling people who are worried about their health, because there's a lot of health crises out here. I mean, I think Mississippi's like number one in the country for obesity, if I'm right. If we're not number one, we're number two. We are so up there in obesity. And part of that is because of animal fats, in my opinion. People use butter down here like it is air. And that's kind of like what I'm hoping to introduce to people, is this idea of like how to do things just a little bit differently. And like it's okay that you're not going vegan. You don't have to go vegan to work with me. You just have to be open-minded and willing to change what you eat just little bit by little bit and take baby steps.
Baby steps. That's how we do it. Brooke, do we have any more specific questions?
I don't think so.
Okay. We are close to the time. Kayla, I did want to ask,
Yeah.
like, for somebody that's listening that feels like they're stuck in a relationship that needs to get out, whether it's for a safety reason or not, do you have any advice for somebody in that spot?
First, I would say talk to people, like like for me, I went on Reddit, and made like anonymous posts and like read a bunch of anonymous posts. And I think the more situations I read about and the more knowledge I got of like my situation, like understanding his mentality, understanding why he did the things that he did and why I did the things that I did, really understanding the behavior behind everything really helped me kind of realize like this isn't going to get any better. Because I would always say in my mind, this isn't the person I met. Where is the guy that I met? The guy that I met was so awesome. I loved him, like we fell in love. He never existed. Like he was
Mm,
pretend. He was like something he had made up. He was pretending to be that person that wasn't real. Um And from reading a lot of women's and men's too situations over and over, I think there's a Facebook group I joined too, like just a lot of different resources that I found that were really like help in that domestic violence sphere, that really gave me that, okay, I'm not special. This isn't like he's 1 in a million. Oh, he did hit me, but he does still love me. Like, no, it's not special. He's literally using physical violence to try to control me because he wants to, because he doesn't have the ability to control himself. And it's like anybody can hit you. Like anybody can hit you. That's not hard, like it's very, even with parenting, it's very easy to hit your children. It's very easy to hit someone. All you have to do is move versus communicating, which is difficult, and it's communicating with children is difficult, like it's changing your mindset to realize that it's like they're not hitting you because they want to help you. Because he would tell me that it was like, oh, I'm helping you, like you're being bad, and like you are being stupid and I need to fix your behavior because you're so dumb. It's like, no, like someone doesn't need to hit you to fix you. And if they say they need to hit you to fix you, they have issues. You don't need to be hit to fix yourself. Like you can fix yourself just by working on it. So really anybody listening is in a domestic violence situation, or has been, or is in the leaving one or left one recently, you are okay by yourself. You are enough and you can do it by yourself. Anything that you think that is like a limiting factor of who you are, that's all in your head. You may not even know who you are. You need to find that out. You have to introspect. I like my walks outside because I'm in the sunshine, I'm breathing fresh air, and I'm thinking about how I can be a better version of myself. And that does not involve anybody hurting me or yelling at me. And yeah, that's kind of it.
So true. I think you hit on some really big aspects that people can take away. One is perspective. So when you're in, like, that's why I asked if you still felt guilty now, because it's really hard to be objective, especially as an empathetic person. We typically put everybody else above ourselves. So if you're in that situation, it's hard to be objective. You gain some perspective just by time passing. It's almost like you're moved away from it, so you see it differently. But I was in a similar spot with you, at least as far as getting some outside counsel. So whether that's therapy or Reddit or trusted friends and family, I asked a lot of people if I should leave before I left. A lot of people told me I should leave before I left. And I think if I didn't have that support, or at least that outside perspective that this isn't okay, I probably would have stayed a lot longer. So yeah, I think you gave some really good feedback for anybody that might be going through that.
Yeah, I agree 100%. The feedback is and the perspective, like I mean, I have a way different perspective of life. And part of that comes with age. I mean, I was 17 when all this happened to me, and I thought the world was crumbling. I thought that, like, I mean, when you're a kid, when you're 17, 18, everything feels huge. Everything feels terrifying, and it feels like you have to do everything right now. Like there's no time. You need to get it all done. And I mean, I'm still young, I'm only 25, but having that perspective of being older is like I have time and I have energy and I have ability, and I don't need to stress out about things. I don't need to rush into things. I can make logical, informed decisions without feeling like there's, oh my God, you just have to get it done. Oh my gosh, all this anxiety just has to happen. Like, no, slow down, be smart, be an adult, make adult decisions, and it's hard. I don't like being an adult, but we all have to do it. Like we all have to get to some point where you take deep breaths every day and just do what you got to do.
Well, for
Yeah.
25, you're light years ahead of where I was at your age.
Well, thank you.
I think you're doing an incredible job. Seriously.
Thank you. It's the trauma.
Seriously. So, Kaitlin, you are getting ready for your next show. I know you're still kind of deciding, but for people listening, when can they expect to see you on stage?
So I'm thinking we're gonna go for NPC Universe June 5th and 6th. We'll see. We're kind of we just made that decision last week to bump from a 15 I had 15 weeks to 8 weeks. So right now I'm sitting at about 7 weeks, and that's anxiety. Like, I'm a little anxious about that, I'm not gonna lie. But like you and I were talking about before, is part of that is for the experience. So much of bodybuilding isn't about winning, it's just about getting experience and getting better. And I know that I personally don't think that I am gonna step on the NPC Universe stage and get my pro card. If I do, I'd be like, booyah, that's awesome. But like, I'm not gonna be upset about it if I don't. I really want to go for the experience. I really want to step on stage, get my jitters out, not feel anxious, not feel like I'm gonna throw up, and I'm shaking and all that kind of stuff. Feel good about it. And also kind of see the other girls there. I want to meet girls. I want to, get an idea of where I should be physically, mentally, emotionally, because there's girls who've been going to nationals for like, I don't know, like 5, 6, 10 years. There's girls who've gone for years and years. And their mindset, I'm sure, is at a way different place than my mindset. And like, I want to talk to them. I want to get to know them. Like, I want to meet people who have that experience so that I can kind of get closer to that level, so that when I do go up, because the original plan was North Americans in like August 23rd, I think. I could be wrong on that date, but it's like end of August. And I still think I'm going to do that show, but it'll be nice to go to that show after having done Universe with a little bit more experience in my pocket, so I feel better about it, and can hopefully kind of put on my real show.
Yeah. Well, good luck. We are cheering you on, and we are excited to see you on stage again.
Yeah, I'm
Repping
excited.
vegans. Yeah.
We'll represent.
All right, dude. Well, thank you so much for your time today, for your vulnerability, for your kindness. You shared a lot of really valuable info. I think for me, this is going to be one of the more, not that we've had a non-meaningful episode, but this one was a little deeper in some ways. So thank you for your time. Buff Vegan Barbie on Instagram. Reach out to her.
Thank you, guys.
Support her for her show. Brooke, you want to take us off?
Yeah. Thanks so much, Kaitlin, for coming on. It has been an honor to work with you in the Vegans Who Live Coaching Academy, and just in general, like developing a friendship with you. And so excited to see how far you go, because you have so much potential. So yeah, thank you for coming on.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much. I loved it. It was great.
Awesome. All right, everybody. Well, that's all we have for you today. Thank you for tuning in to the Vegans Who Live podcast, and we will catch you guys next time.
Take care.